I get asked all the time, what is a vigilante? What does it mean to be a vigilante? And so to explain that, I'm just going to kind of explain where the vigilantes came from. When I started the group, I honestly thought there was going to be like 10 or 20 people who really like the scrap that would want to be part of the behind the scenes, helping pick out the guests and make the questions. And I never dreamed that the vigilantes would grow into what it has grown into. Over 700 like-minded. If you're a vigilante, you are never alone. We have members from across the country. We have members from across the globe. And it's just amazing what it's become. If you're in there, then you get to be in the Discord. And the Discord is where we do all of our discussions, and people go live and they talk and they ask questions, and we have a channel for bitching and moaning, for presenting classes. It's amazing the fellowship that is involved in being a vigilante. And it's not just that, there's so many other benefits. You get access to the vigilante only swag shop. You get the 15% discount on all merch from Firehouse Vigilance. You get the after parties. You get the vigilante get-togethers when we're all at the same place and we get together and we raise a glass and do a toast and have the vigilante creed. You get the vigilante coin when you hit your 1-year anniversary with your fireaways, the forums, the archives, all of the quarterly projects that are coming that you get to be a part of and get to be behind the scenes on. It's grown into something bigger than I ever imagined. And I want people to know about it. I want people to be a part of it. If you're not a vigilante, why not? I don't know how big it could be. I don't know. I mean, the vigilantes are where the work is at. They're the ones who are getting stuff done, and it's phenomenal to be a part of it. I wanted to get on here and explain where it started, how it came to be, and ask you, if you're not a vigilante, why not? Go to patreon.com/thevigilantes. That's where you sign up. It is $5 a month. I mean, you can't even get a cup of coffee for that anymore. $5 a month and you get to be a part of this unbelievable group. Go to patreon.com, sign up, become a vigilante, and I will see you on the Discord.
Introducing the Affordable Standpipe Prop, another innovative solution by Affordable Drill Towers. The Affordable Standpipe Prop is a realistic training prop that allows you to conduct real-world training in your classroom and flow water in your parking lot. Crafted with efficiency and affordability in mind, the Affordable Standpipe Prop is designed to meet the needs of engine company training. We took the fire suppression system of a 7-story building, compressed it into 4.5 feet, and mounted it horizontally on our proprietary cart. For durability, the manifold is constructed of 4-inch Schedule 40 galvanized pipe with 7 2.5-inch outlets. Enjoy effortless maneuverability from 4 heavy-duty casters, 2 that are fixed and 2 that swivel with double locking brakes makes wheeling this prop a breeze. Yet, the locking casters prevent movement when flowing water. The entire unit is sandblasted. An epoxy powder coat finish is applied, followed by a red top powder finish. 2 reinforced shelves allow for transport and storage of fire hose, appliances, and tools. The basic model includes a 2.5-inch Siamese fire department connection, 6 2.5-inch angle hose valves, a system pressure gauge, and a sprinkler head with a control valve and water motor gong. The 7th outlet comes capped. The Affordable Standpipe Prop is available with your choice of Fireground adjustable pressure reducing valves from Elkhart Brass, Zurn, and Giacomini. You can also add the Dixon PRD, a screw-on adjustable pressure restricting device, a 7th standard hose valve, an additional sprinkler head, or the optional speed swivel appliance that can be used on the FDC. We pressure test the Affordable Standpipe Prop to 300 PSI so that you can pump realistic fireground pressures. If you need custom threads, a specific FDC, have any questions, or need a quote, just let us know. Elevate your training regimen with the Affordable Standpipe Prop, setting a new standard in fire department training excellence. Reach us at 84455 Towers or info@affordabledrilltowers.com.
More Firehouse Vigilance. It is weekly scrap number 318. My guest tonight is Battalion Chief Eric Wheaton, a second-generation firefighter for the Winter Park, Florida Fire Department, where he has served since 2007. He spent most of his career on the truck company and serves on the technical rescue team. He is the owner of Vent Inner Search LLC. He has taught all across the country at fire conferences, including FDIC. He also serves as an advisory board member on the UL FSRI Size Up and Search and Rescue Study. He has a passion for health and fitness and enjoys spending time with his wife and 3 kiddos. I'm excited to have him back on the scrap. It has been a minute, and it is going to be an amazing conversation. Welcome, my brother, Eric Wheaton, to episode number 318.
Yeah, Corey. Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited. Woo.
I am excited to have you back. Is there anything you would like to add to the intro? Anything I missed?
Oh, solid.
All right, audience, get your questions primed and ready. Vent Inner Search is on. Eric Wheaton, Mr. Can Confidence. It is going to be a good time, and we are going to have some fun. So let's do the sponsors so we can get to the scrap. And here we go. Affordable Drill Towers, on a mission to bring you cost-effective and versatile training props, like the Affordable Bailout Prop, which allows you to practice window bailouts, ladder bailouts, and ladder high point rescues. They also offer the Affordable Standpipe Prop, which you can roll into the classroom for standpipe theory and then roll it into the parking lot and pump realistic flows and pressures. And of course, their mainstay, the Affordable Drill Tower. It comes in several configurations and standard with a standpipe system. Choose from 1 or 2 sets of stairs integrated into your existing Connex boxes for multi-story access or freestanding on a slab. All models NFPA 1402 compliant and gain you ISO credit. The only thing that you can't do on an affordable drill tower is live fire training. Call Steve, 844-55-TOWER, or drop an email to info@affordabledrilltowers.com. When it comes to building your perfect attack package, you can't just slap any nozzle on any hose and hope for the best. That's a recipe for failure. At Snap-Tight Hose, they are not just trying to sell you hose. They are there to make sure you get the right hose paired with the right nozzle for your crew and conditions. Their team of experienced reps knows this stuff inside and out, and they're ready to help. No ego, no judgment, because knowledge is power. And at Snap-Tight Hose, they bring both. Visit snaptighthose.com to connect with a rep and start building your ideal hose and nozzle package today. And firestationfurniture.com, they provide a complete line of quality furniture for your firehouse. Firefighter, owned and operated, they understand the strain firefighters put on furniture and offer furniture that is built to last. Visit firestationfurniture.com for more information. So there's the sponsors, and if you know me, you know I love throwing in something personal every now and then on a scrap, and this one is very personal to me. This is my personal gym where I go and roll. This is my jiu-jitsu gym. It is National Martial Arts OK. National Martial Arts Oklahoma on YouTube. They started a YouTube channel, and I want to support him because my coach, Coach Michael, he is amazing, and I want to support what he's doing and the value he's putting out on the YouTube channel. So I'm asking people, if you're into jiu-jitsu, go subscribe to their YouTube channel, National Martial Arts OK, and help them grow. So there you go. Done with all of that, and we can get to talking and scrapping with Eric. So my man, I always send out an email and ask for topics to discuss and what you're currently passionate about. And dude, I love everything you sent back. But absolutely the one that really popped out right up the top is training methodology, talking about mechanics, consistency, intensity. Start with your training methodology and let's just go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. So, it's no secret that, for those close to me, I like to, I do a lot of research into the CrossFit space and fitness space. And so over the past, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years or so, I've been trying to, when I dive into those topics and of the CrossFit methodology, and I was like, man, this really can draw parallels to the fire service, specifically in training. And, one of those things that I've been passing on the last few years to our classes is that mechanics, consistency, and intensity. And really, if you want to even dumb it down more, it's like the crawl, walk, run, but a little bit more, a little bit deeper in a meaning and kind of fancier words, really. But man, that's basically what it is you want to lay down that good foundation, have those good mechanics, so move well or have those basics down. And then you get those to a consistent level. And then once you have them at a consistent level, that's when you add intensity. And kind of an example of that, we'll stick to search because I'm sure we're going to end up talking about search is if I was going to train our new recruits and, they come to me first day one of their Pro V school. and I slap them in a burn building. I light a big fire. I black them out. I'm playing Metallica on the radio. I got 5 victims, 1 hanging from the ceiling fan, 1 stuffed in the refrigerator, and tell them to go search. They're probably not going to be very successful because we set them up for failure. We gave them the intensity before we even gave them the mechanics, and then worked those mechanics up to a consistent level. And so the guys on the crew, they've definitely heard that. The guys that teach with me at with VES, you know, they've definitely heard this spiel a ton of times. And when I really kind of realized that to focus on those mechanics, those foundational movements, set your drills up for success. Let the trainee or the recruit be successful in a drill, and then work those basics to a consistent level. Then you can add the Metallica music and the multiple victims and things like that. And what I've seen from that is a very profound comprehension from the student or from the recruit, because you set them up for success. And I'll give you another example, Corley, here. A search drill. Our search drills, your first time through them, you're going to see everything. You're going to have minimal gear. You're going to see everything. There's going to be no victims, no fire location. It's just moving through the space and how your body moves through the space, what little bit of communication you're going to do with your partner, how to move through the building, how to size the building up as you move along. And then once you get that to a consistent level, then we can add a victim. Then we can add a little bit of vision obscurity. And then we can add a fire location, and then just slowly ramp them up. And then a kind of an add to this, we can do what's kind of a deload. And this is another term from the fitness space. And in training in a linear progression like this, you do a deload week. And so what that is you work up to, say, like a max lift, and then you drop back down on your deload week, which that drop down, it's just slightly more intense than what your first into start of the program, if you kind of get my drift here, right? And then you work back up to an even higher level than you were, and then you bring them back down. So you're always kind of touching back to the basics, ramping back up to that intensity level, bringing it back down to the basics. And you can pick any genre in the fire service and train. It could be hose work, it could be ladders, it could be search, it could be mask ups, it could be anything like that. And man, I'm telling you, dude, the amount of comprehension I've seen through that is just intense. I mean,
awesome.
it's just crazy to see it work.
What?
And
Oh, go ahead. I was going to dig in a little bit.
No, it's just basically where and to give credit where credit's due is Greg Glassman, the founder of CrossFit, man. He's I've really dived into his work and his methodology and his philosophy on a lot of things, whether it be in the fitness space or his new endeavor of broken science and stuff like that, and really kind of deep dive. And I love just drawing parallels to the fire service, and that was one of the ones, you know, for sure.
Why do you think we get it so wrong in the fire service, and especially with is it just a lack of comfort with knowing the basics, so we throw all this other stuff in there just to mask it as instructors and make the student feel stupid so they don't ask questions?
Yeah, I think, and probably most of us trainers do this unintentionally, but we like to share what we know, everything we know. And you know who does this? What genre in the fire service does this the worst? Is special operations. Man, I can teach rope skills to anybody and get them to where they're super confident, because I can just strip away all the extra fluff and show them basic skills. And then from those basic skills, you can get as complex or intense as you would like from there. And so I think it's a little bit of that. I think it's the instructor just blabbing everything they know, thinking that, you know, a student can just retain all that information at once, and they can't. And it's a little bit about, you know, I don't think instructors really analyze how they teach. I think, you know, we get thrown in this instructor role, and you're kind of, you know, thought of as the subject matter expert.
Sure.
And so you kind of have that pressure to be all knowing, and you don't really self-reflect and say, man, is the way I'm delivering or the type of content I'm delivering really being retained by who's receiving this information? And I think once you start to analyze that and kind of, you know, I mean, and we'll get into this because we do test and retest. And so I can see if my program is working or not, because I will see your performance. And if you're not getting what I'm kind of laying down to you, then I know that, you know, my delivery is not there.
Beautiful. No, Man, dude, we are stacking up. Are you ready for? Are you ready?
Yeah.
I don't even know what we're gonna get to on what you actually sent me because the questions are stacking up. Are you ready for your first one from the audience?
Yeah.
This one's coming from Backseat Wisdom, and it says, "How do we change the mindset of technical college instructors who believe VES is dangerous and don't spend enough time teaching it?"
Yeah, I mean I mean, there's no better time than now to bring data to anybody who's pushing back on any of that. I mean, you know, look at the line of duty data death when it looks at vendor search. Look at ULFSRI. Look at what they've done and the studies they've done. Look at firefighterrescuesurvey.com and look at their data points. I mean, everything points to you know, starting searches from, you know, not necessarily doors, but potentially windows is, you know, an optimal way to search. And it's honestly, we put it this way. We do a search class that came from Grant Schwalbe and their group at FDIC, residential primary search, where they look at, you know, vendor search or window initiated search, primary searches, and engine-based searches. And when we do that class, you know, when our guys do that class, we deliver that to a department, especially a department that's a little like, you know, they're a little hesitant on the VS skill. You throw those letters out and people kind of get hesitant. It's like, out of all the searches we're doing today, if you just look at line of duties, VS is the safest one. And it's the safest one for not only the firefighters, but safest one for the victims. You know, that has the highest survival rate out of any search that you're going to do. You know, so I would start there. You know, technical college, if it's anything like what we have in Florida, you're going to be wrapped up into the states and you know, kind of their standards and everything. So that's turning a big ship. You know, it's much easier, you know, in a smaller setting, maybe your department or whatnot. But you know, that's what I would do. I would just start with the data. Just throw data at them. People like data. We have more access to data than we've ever had in the fire service. So. And those are the three people entities I would look at. Those three.
Beautiful. They're starting off with max points out the gate from the audience questions. Coming at you from Rob Fisher. Rob Effin Fisher in the house says, "Chief Wheaton, please share your thoughts about how important it is for battalion chiefs to have truck experience."
Yeah, I actually had this conversation with one of our lieutenants recently, who's you know, he's going to be teed up to be our next what we call out of grade battalion to ride the seat. And I told him, I said, dude, I can't tell you enough how well it set my career up to be on that truck company. And the first thing I thought to even tell him was like, I go in every building. You know, and for you all don't know Winter Park, we're a very small city, 9 square miles, 3 firehouses, 1 truck in the city. So every fire alarm, you know, every kind of you're above normal call, the truck's going in. So, you know, we're citywide. We go in all the buildings. We go to all the major calls, all the fire calls. And so you're in the buildings constantly. You're in the buildings, you're learning the building systems, you're learning the building layouts, you're learning the capabilities of your rig around these buildings. You're interacting with business owners in the community because you're out and about a lot more. So just that alone, being you know, being the one that kind of does all that and deals with the alarm systems and all that is just you know, very valuable. Then, you know, going on the truck again, our truck handles all the special operations calls, all the fires, all the, you know, gas leaks that we do, the extrications and all that. So, you know, you're the battalion relies on typically the truck company, especially a small department like us and in a department that utilizes their truck as a special operations rig. The battalion's always, at least since I've been there, has always kind of relied on the truck. Like if the chief needed something done on a scene, most of the time they're going to call the truck. And so having that opportunity to kind of be a very close resource to the chief officer on scene obviously gave me a ton of experience, you know, understanding what the battalion's going to want, kind of forecasting the call and forecasting his needs and wants, whether I'm giving him updates or just knowing what job needs to get done is very valuable. And coming up from as a firefighter rank, you know, we run a very traditional 4-person truck, 2 on the inside, 2 on the outside. I used to love the outside position because you would work outside direct supervision of your officer, and you're able to make your own decisions and size the building up, size the fire up, and say, hey, I got a vent here, I got a VES here. Now's the time that, I take the fire vent. Now's the time I throw ladders. Now's the time I get on the roof. And you're really making those decisions in in ordinance with your guidelines, but outside direct supervision of your company officer and the chief officer. And really, in those positions, you talk straight to the chief. And so, again, you're kind of building that relationship with the chief officer, riding that, coming up through the ranks on that vehicle for sure.
Love it. Great questions from Rob and backseat wisdom so far. Trying. I'm looking for. I'm going, dude. They got a ton of questions coming at you.
Not optimal. Obviously, on the safety side of things, people are going to throw little red flags with an outside guy working on his own. I would kind of ask back, I don't know if we'll be able to get an answer in time, but if you run a fire-based EMS system, that's what we did when we first developed our truck company, just before I got hired. When we were really ramping up our truck company, we took our two on the, we call them rescues in Florida, but an ambulance or medic unit with firefighters on them, and we gave them to the outside team. So we actually had a team of 3 in that case.
Right.
And so if you're in that style of department, and fire-based EMS, man, I would use the crap out of those. And still to this day, we use those guys on those rigs as kind of the manpower. They're the ones that really have carte blanche on a fire scene. They don't really have a designated duty like the truck and engine has, like riding assignments, tool assignments, and all that stuff. The chief officer can use those 2 to plug and play where needed. So I would start that. But then, you can do things from the outside that as a one-man job to soften the building. You can remove bars, you can vent the fire. If you want to be a little bit more using terms today, a little more aggressive, you can vendor search. I mean, that's definitely a one-person tactic. A lot of departments, even some suburban departments do one-person VSs. It's just going to be depending on your department. But the easiest way, I think, to kind of sell that is if you had that fire-based system or another company that you can grab to add to your outside team. That just kind of makes a lot of decision makers feel a little bit more at ease, when kind of adopting that 3-person truck culture.
Love it. I love it. Great fielding. I want to ask, this is guest choice. This is dealer's choice. Do you want a into the weeds nerd question about ladders, or do you want a impossible to answer question about culture?
Oh, jeez.
Your choice.
I'm not much of a nerd, dude.
All right, we'll go with the nerd question from Rob Fisher. He wants to know, given your experience spec'ing trucks, what are your thoughts regarding the ground ladder package for a suburban truck, and what's your recommended sizes? What would be your magic wand approach if you could pick it?
Yeah, I got you. Well, that's actually not too
nerdy.
bad. That's not too bad because I just built our last truck. That's right before I got promoted, so I'll actually never get to be on it. But and we have 205 feet of ground ladders on that rig. Our previous truck had 188 feet of ground ladders. Obviously, I mean, Chief Fisher's going to know this. It's going to be as far as what ladders to choose. It's going to be what's your district like. If you have a lot of topography changes, which, Florida, we typically don't, but our city is a little unique. Being in Central Florida, we have a lot of sinkholes. So there's a lot of lakeside homes that are caused by a sinkhole. So we actually have walkout basements and stuff in Florida, in Central Florida. And so, the backyard is going to slope down where you might have 2 in the front, 3 in the rear type setup, or 1 and 2. So
I would not expect that. Yeah, I didn't know that about Central Florida.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of split levels, and I'm not even sure the construction where a lot of I know out in Colorado Springs they talk about it a lot, and Brush talks about it a lot, where you have those garden apartments where the first floor kind of that first floor window is almost grass level. We don't have anything, at least in our city, we don't have anything like that. But again, getting off topic, just size your own department, go out and measure, dude. Like we would go out and throw ladders to buildings in our city and take tape measures if we didn't want to be as invasive with people's property, and kind of tape things out. But it's going to depend on what, again, and what your truck's going to be assigned to do. So our truck, people would call that kind of like a rescue tiller, because half of our equipment on that tiller is special operations equipment. And anytime you want more compartment space, something has to give. And in this case, in TDAs and tillers, what's going to give is ground ladder capacity. Now, I would argue 205 feet of ground ladders on a rescue tiller is actually a good amount, but realize that tillers can hold upwards of 400 plus feet of ground ladders if you're fully going to spec it out like a just a ladder company. So we needed the compartment space because, again, we handle special operations, basically every genre we can handle from that truck. So it takes up, some of that ground ladder compartment. So I actually just posted a picture the other day of the barn doors, and that's, basically 200 feet in there. And we have a combination of 35, two-section 35, all duo safety, 28 foot. Realize, I'll speak from duo safety because I've never personally had a rig with alkalites, only just traveling through my trainings. But those are custom ladders. You can call duo safety and say, hey, I want a 28-foot ladder cut down to a 24-foot width. And we did that. And we do that because it feels a little more natural, right? That 28 for us is kind of a threshold between a 1 and 2 person. But with it cut down, it's a 1-person ladder throw. With a little bit of training.
When you say cut down,
yeah, sorry. So cut down the width. So a traditional duo safety 28-foot ladder, 28-foot ladder is as wide as a 2-section 35 duo safety, right? So when you're handling it, if you're like high shoulder especially, it may feel a little 35-ish, right? Which is a very intimidating ladder for you by yourself. For most firefighters, there's obviously some guys that can throw 35s on their own, but you can actually have them cut the rungs down. So every rung gets cut down, which takes the beam width and shrinks it to match a 24-foot ladder. So you save a little bit of weight. It's not actually a ton of weight, but you do save a little bit of weight, but it just feels a little more natural.
Right.
And
I didn't even know that was an option. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I'm speaking with duo safety. Don't have any, I would imagine Alkalite would do the same. But yeah, we did that, and that also saves space too in your compartment. So if you're like your ladder tunnel, you're kind of playing inches, cutting down those ladders might be able to help you get some extra room to put some hooks or something like that. But yeah, kind of a long answer for that, but that's what we do, and that's what I would continue to do. It's been very successful for us.
And Rob admitted he was giving you a soft toss. He said it.
Yeah,
so, there you go.
I thought he was going to get me into like weights and reaches and all that. I've written down, but I can't ever remember all that.
Which leaves us with the impossible to answer culture question, which is from Jason M. He wants to know, Chief, how do you get Chiefs re-engaged into the job? How do you get them to buy in? And again, this is like an impossible question. We get it a lot, but I'm still going to throw it at you. See what wisdom you got.
I hear you. I just tell you my experience, I was in the job from day one, dude. So it's easy for me. I don't know if you're going to take a grown man that's a chief, which means they're probably towards the tail end of their career, and change their mind. All you can do is kind of worry about you and whoever, your crew and your supervision. I know it's kind of the softball answer, but I mean, for me, again, it's easy. I was always in the job. I still in the job. I work out with the guys in gear. I train in gear. Like I go to conferences. I try to come in every day with a very positive attitude. I don't know. It's okay for me to say no. I don't know on this. I don't know if you're going to change a grown ass man's mind and attitude when his mind is, I just need to get through my drop or through retirement. Me as a chief, I could just continue to set the example, and maybe a little bit of that rubs off on them, and they're like, well, shit, I don't want, Eric to come, show me up or make me look bad. So I'll step my game up. Or it could just have an opposite effect, and you create basically another enemy, which isn't always the funnest thing. And us who give the shit about the job know exactly how that goes.
Yeah. No, I mean, You nailed it. As far as the only thing anybody's ever come up with on that is focus on what you can control. And so you nailed it as far as I know, like that it's the impossible question. And so, but it is good to hear, different perspectives on it. And I love throwing it at you. I like this one that's coming at you. I'm looking for it. I saw it. I'm looking for it. Man, dude, you got some fans out there. That's all I'm saying. All right here. Marshall Boyd coming at you. Biggest challenges going from the front right seat with your friends to driving around in the buggy by your lonesome.
Dude, I'm probably the only one in this world who's going to say this. I actually enjoy it. And the guys at work will tell me because I like 5 minutes to myself. And I don't have to go shopping at Publix anymore, which is our grocery store.
Right.
No, I honestly, dude, it hasn't been that bad. Yeah, I'm kind of I think I like my own space sometimes. So I think, I hang out with the guys, but you know what? In that car, it's been kind of nice, honestly. I don't mind it. It's a little difficult to like bring everything, all the computer, iPad stuff up while you're driving, or that part kind of sucks. But I shoot the shit with the guys on shift. I do a lot of things very deliberate at work to make sure that I don't miss out on the kitchen table talks and all that. Obviously I got to be in the office and things like that, but I try to make up for lost time there at the station, be a little more present as much as I can. As there's a lot of office work to do. There's nothing around that, but especially as a shift level commander. I miss it. I miss the guys, obviously, joking around, driving around. We always joke, there's only one way home. This is kind of very popular street to drive down the back, back towards the firehouse, and guys are goofing off down that road, and I do miss that.
Sure.
But as we talked before, we hit record, man. Just it's been very rewarding in the seat, and dare I say, it's been my favorite position. And I've rode every position to get to this point, including driver, including driving a tiller truck.
Right.
And this, I think, is kind of where I'm meant to be, at least for the next several years.
That's awesome. No, that's amazing to hear. That's awesome to hear. More people need to hear that.
Yeah.
So that's good because we need more firefighters to promote into those positions.
I'm telling you, man, I think I've heard Shannon Stone talk about it, and Rhodes too, where it's like more people like us need to get promoted. You know how many times, we hear people like, I don't want to promote, I don't want to work with this guy, or I don't, I'm happy doing what I'm doing.
Yes.
Dude, if you hold yourself back, guess who's going to get the job? The guy that you're fighting against. Because he just wants the white shirt. He wants the bugles. He wants the ego itch. He wants all of that.
Yes.
And, sometimes you got to take one for the team. If you want culture change, you got to get up in these leadership roles that have, formal leadership roles that have, influence, more influence. I mean, the higher up I go, I think I'm at a spot where I'm like, okay, I got a really good grasp on influence here. And then you get to the next spot and it's just like more opportunities to influence both up and down, and dude, we need more people in this seat if we're gonna fight the good fight and do culture change and all that. You gotta get to these spots. There'll always be firefighters that want to ride tailboard and be on a nozzle and be on a search, but we need good people that have that mindset to go all through the ranks if you want any change. I mean,
dude. Yes, no, absolutely. Max points once again. Dude, one of the things is I always talk about is total impact. Your total impact, and it's your influence, because you can have influence no matter what rank you are, according to your personal example and doing the right things and all that. But your total impact is your influence, no matter what rank you're at, plus your rank, and it's a multiplier. Both of them are multiplier to each other, and it becomes more and more powerful the higher up you go, the more impact you have on your organization. And we need, absolutely. And if you don't take the spot, who is? I love that, what you said. If you don't, who's going to take it? So when people ask those culture questions, that's one of the major things I
promote, man. You, if you want to, yeah. So anyway, don't get me preaching. I'm trying not to. All right, sliding back. Joe Biancoli, I'm gonna see if you make sense of this question. It says, "What do you need from your crews to increase accountability or feel comfortable with your crews for searching through windows beyond the door?" Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Go. I wasn't sure.
Yeah. He's asking basically how do I get comfortable allowing the crew
Okay.
search beyond the door, I guess is what I would take it. And
Go
again,
with it then, because that makes sense. That makes sense the way you said it.
Yeah, that's easy. That's my style of training. I mean,
Okay.
like I'm involved with the training. Like I'm in gear. I'm driving in windows. I'm you know, what's good about this position is that I get to affect, you know, 23 people assigned to my shift in their training. And so when we grind day in and day out and on the drill ground, I can see their performance. And maybe we'll talk about it a little bit because I know some of the topics I submitted, but about how I document these performances, analyze that data, develop drills based off the deficiencies of as a shift, and then drill on those things and then retest and see where we're at. And so, you know, spending a ton of time on those topics like searching or searching beyond the door or VES or ventilation, forcible entry or hose pulls and mask ups, like all these things that we do, I see the performance and the crew that the people that I trust the most, they're going to get that task, right? They're going to end up on the truck, or they're going to end up being the one I call for on the fire ground when I need something done, because I've sat there and I drilled with them and I know their strengths and weaknesses. And so it's being very involved with company training and as a battalion running shift level training. You know, let your company officers do their thing, be involved with that, be there to support, be there to watch, but also you need to, you know, put your spin on things, you know. And so that's what I would do. I mean, that's what I do, is just I'm involved with the drill. So I could tell you exactly who I'm 100% comfortable with doing that, given the conditions and all that, and who, you know, I would rather send somebody else in.
Well, let me dig in on that measurable data, because I love that concept that you bring up, which is, you know, actually documenting your drills and measuring deficiencies. And how does that go over with your battalion? like I'm sure they were just really jumping up and down with joy whenever that started, or you implement. Well, how did that go about, or how did it get about, and how has it been accepted?
Yeah. You know, to my face, I mean, people are going to say they're fine with it, but I'm sure behind closed doors, there's you know, maybe a few people that aren't a fan of it. But what I do is I over-explain the why. I
Okay.
over-explain what my intentions are. Again, I do it as well. I'm in gear. I sit everybody down, and I've tried to, in going back to our first conversation about, you know, mechanics, consistency, and intensity and all that, I try to break down the barriers and break down the fact that I'm not doing I got you drills. I'm not
Right.
trying to I got you. Oh, you missed that victim. You suck at search. You know, it's not that at all. I truly, especially as someone who's running an entire shift, trying to build a team that can perform is a optimal level. I know each and every one of them can, and so you know, you can't improve what you don't measure.
I
You
love
know,
it.
so much training is just check box, or maybe not even check box, but there's no direction, there's no purpose, there's no build off the train. You know who does a really good job of this is Brush. I mean, Brush, he constantly kind of builds off his training, and his year is planned out very precise. And it's another thing I got from the CrossFit methodology, and that is running a training, what's called a JPR. You know, and if any you know, union people are like, hey, we can't say that, or you know, the department doesn't want to say requirements, you know, you could do job performance indicators. You know, just change the term then. And what that is we run, and I'll call it a test. And test is a poor name because, again, people think pass and fail when they hear test. But
Right.
in my mind, thinking of like the CrossFit space, that's what they call this. You're running a test.
Right.
I collect data on that test. One of the easiest thing to measure is time.
Time.
Time is a measurable thing. So I'll do time, and time has a negative effect because people will put intensity in front of mechanics and consistency because I have a stopwatch going, and they
Yes.
think the drill is for time, and the drill is just being timed. And the
I love
why
that
I'm
distinction.
measuring,
I love that distinction. And that's not
yeah.
just word games. That's very important.
No, because if I put a stopwatch to you, you're in front of your buddies and you want to just go as fast as you can. That's not the purpose of the drill. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Some people might be there where they can race the clock. We're not there yet. You got to get the mechanics and consistency down. So, but I'll take that time and I will add some subjective things. So I'll say, the performance was good, average or poor. All right. And then I'll note down kind of what I meant by those things. Hey, a ladder throw. He threw the ladder, but misjudged the distance, but was pretty quick with the ladder or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I run the whole shift through this. I analyze all the data and I pick out all the high points. Hey, 50% of the shift, for example, we just did a forcible entry drill based off our JPRs. And surprisingly, the number one thing that I felt our shift was lacking is outward door swinging forcible entry. People were not driving the adds in around the jam. They were driving it to the jam and go to force and the bar would slip out.
Okay.
So I said, okay, I'm going to focus on forcible entry first, and we're going to focus heavily on outward swinging doors, right? And then we'll run that drill. And then when I retest, I have the time to show them, you would assume they would get improvement, right? We drilled on that basic skill. And now when we do the JPR again or JPI again, we collect that time data, and now I can chart out, and I literally have charts and graphs and everything. I can chart out a reduction in time and the subjective things. Hey, the ladder throw got cleaner, or the outward swinging door, hardly anybody slipped out on that outward swinging door. All right. Now, you're going to say, if I focus always on the basics or kind of like the entry level things, you're going to potentially lose your high performers. All right. And a way around that is, again, another thing that I pulled from, the CrossFit space is you program for the elite athlete, but you scale it down for the grandma. Okay. It's very hard to do that the opposite way when you're designing a drill. If you come in thinking that you're going to design a drill and only run a drill for your lowest common denominator, you're going to lose the top end people, and it's very hard to ramp your drill up because you're not prepared for that. And so for example, this forcible entry drill, I posted a lot of pictures and video of it the last couple of weeks, and we did a lot of basic forcible entry, but then I had a very challenging hallway prop built for the end, and that was kind of like a reward for the higher performers, and it was very, very difficult for those that were, probably I put a little intensity in front of their mechanics, but they still get something out of the drill, and they obviously went through the basic stuff pretty hard, but I gave a little bit of a reward and a little bit of interest in the drill to my high performers.
So it was the hallway, was that an optional thing that you could take on as a challenge, or was it a?
We had everybody go through it.
Okay.
But before we did that, we spent, first of all, the first part of the program of this forcible entry was just analyzing the data that I had collected from the previous JPRs. And I said, hey guys, here's all our times. Here's what people did. Like, I was tracking how people masked up, what they did with their helmet when they masked up. I was just curious. I just like collecting data and stuff. And anyways, so we analyzed that. Then I pulled the door props out of the hallway prop, and we just did rep after rep after rep after I demoed and did a little teaching. And then once we got everybody, I would analyze everyone. Okay, cool. Everyone's moving through pretty good. I'm doing less and less talking. I threw the doors in the hallway. We put some smoke in there, have a Bluetooth speaker with a little bit of radio chatter going on. And they had to force like 4 doors through some tight hallways and turns. And again, for the crews that are, they train regularly on forcible entry and perform that on fire grounds regularly, that was a really fun drill.
Right.
And those that, are still kind of not really in tune to that, it was a very challenging drill, but they still got something out of the day. and again, I didn't just start with the hallway drill and say, hey, crews, come down. We got this hard hallway drill, go, because then they wouldn't have been successful.
Right.
You know?
No, I love it, man. Absolutely love the whole, from the over explaining the why to the design it from the get-go for your elite high performers to be challenged, and then scaling it downward, not the opposite. And that's
Exactly.
that's two huge takeaways for anybody in any training division, just as a mindset towards approaching your training. And
Yeah.
no, I love it. All right, going back to audience questions here. There's always questions about how do you get people to want to train more? How do you get people to train more on what I want them to train on? There's always those type of questions.
Hey,
But
I easy get promoted, and when you're wearing a white helmet and you're out there doing gear workouts in 90-degree weather, 90% humidity, you're going to get people that train.
there you go. There's the answer, and it's you can't argue with it. And Rob said it on here. He said in the YouTube comments, he said we need more BCs like Chief Wheaton, brothers/sisters, ellipses, be like Eric. And the truth of the matter is this: we have a lot of firefighters that are like Eric. We do. We have a lot of company officers that are like Eric. We just need them to want to promote and have that bigger impact. We need them to. We need them to across the country. So, Scott Hoke says, Eric, there's a big argument in my area regarding efficacy, searching from a hose line over VES. What are your thoughts and the why?
Yeah, I mean, again, anytime you get somebody on here or anybody, that talks online or teaches, you guys all have to realize they're speaking from their experience and their vision and their interpretation of the surroundings. So, for me to answer that question, I work for a department that does not need to search from a hose line. We have a dedicated truck company. Our engine company goes in, they're solely focused on attacking the fire, and our truck company is going to do, basically your two-prong approach on search. You're going to typically have crews jumping in windows and crews for your bread and butter fires, and crews make an entry through a door to search. Again, I'm going to say, look at the data. Look at the data when you look at Firefighter Rescue Survey, you look at UL, and they'll tell you search and suppression done simultaneously is optimal.
Gold
Something
standard.
along those that saying. And it just also makes common sense. Like, if you can have it and when I say that search and suppression done simultaneously is optimal, that's from two different companies. It's not optimal to have a crew on a hose line doing a search off the hose line. Is it a way of doing it? Sure.
That's what Ramaga says. That's finding people.
Yes.
It's not searching, that's finding.
Exactly. You're in the engine company. If you again look at the survey, they find a decent amount of people, and it's just what Ramika said. They're finding somebody because they're stretching lines to major passive egress, and that's a large margin of where we could potentially find somebody that's trying to egress out of their home, and they go down in their hallway. And so, if you can get to a point in your staffing levels and your models to split those companies apart and have a crew on an engine, crew on a hand line and a crew assigned to search, you have a very optimal fire ground. And we are a very small city, and we are able to do that. A lot of people say, oh, I don't have the resources, the staffing and all that. Again, we're 3 engine companies and 1 truck. And that's that's written in our SOGs is how that goes down. Beautiful. And use data, and good luck fighting that fight. But again, that's not my experience to have to make those decisions. I get a lot of Quint questions too, like, hey, if I showed up on a Quint, do I search? I'll give my opinion, but it's just theory and opinion because I don't have that experience of doing that. I've always, have been on a dedicated truck company.
And anybody who doesn't caveat that, I think that's just I guess, man, the more I've had a lot of people on the scrap, and most of them are well, I mean, I have a full wide range of gamut but a lot of well vetted, nationally known speakers, you know what I'm saying? And every one of them usually has that caveat of, listen, I'm telling you my experiences, and it's based on that. And the ones that don't, you kind of look at with the little, you got to have that. And so I appreciate that immensely. Scott Hoke coming at you once again says, for an agency beginning the journey into building a new truck culture, where do you feel like people fail the most? And how do you improve on that to set up for success in truck company operations development?
Yeah. One, it's going to be your gun ho people that are pushing it, and they're pushing too hard, to where the decision makers are going to get turned off. And that took me really up until recently. I think
All
I've
of us,
kind
it
of
takes
backed
a
off.
long time. Yeah.
Yeah, to really realize that you're like, I'm in it. Okay, I need to be in it for the long game, and I need to very, very deliberate of when I deliver what I want and how I deliver it. I can't just, as soon as my mind comes up with it, go, 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 go. Um, you know, I would travel the country, get a lot of data, get a lot of people's operating guidelines and SOPs, talk to a lot of people, listen to these podcasts, take notes, come with some sort of data. Chiefs and decision makers nowadays like things being safe. So if you can always steer your conversation that, hey, if we have a dedicated truck company, it's actually safer for us and the victims because of this. And here's the data that proves that. So use the safety thing when you can, and start small. Start by just drilling with your own people, and then build that kind of reputation and build a team of people who are very comfortable in those skills. And then you can kind of show your decision makers that, hey, we have the people now that are trained up. Here's the data that shows us it's very safe for the fire ground, for us, for them, and roll that out. And like, I know it's been said on this scrap multiple times, the old Rob Fisher, 10 pounds of pressure 100% of the time. You got to be in the long game. I threw a post up a while back, and I was like, you have to be okay with the work you're doing today. You have to be okay that creates change after you're gone. You have to be okay with that. So the work that you're putting in now, building a truck company for your department, you may never see the fruit of that labor because it takes that long to get it going. But when you're sitting down drinking margaritas at the beach in your retirement, you can look at your fire department and know that you had a hand in that. You got to be okay that you didn't get to experience it, but you got the train rolling on that.
Right on. Other people enjoy the shade from the trees that you planted type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I'm looking here. There's so many. Jason M, I like this question. We're kind of steering away a little bit, but it says, Chief, when did you know you were ready to take that promotional test?
I assumed he's talking about BC.
That's what I'm assuming also.
Yeah. Because I kind of always knew I wanted to be a lieutenant. Even as a young firefighter, that was an interesting spot for me. Honestly, I did not want to be a BC. Actually, I had an argument with my wife. Not an argument, it's kind of a bold statement, but I had a disagreement. She wanted me to take tests. We had a guy that retired, BC retired, kind of out of the blue, and I was like, hey, such and such retired, and she's like, you're gonna take the test, right? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm a lieutenant on a truck, on a tiller truck. Like, why do I want to take a BC's test? And it frightened me because I'm the type of person that's all in on a lot of things I do, including promotional tests. So I know what it does to my body, my mind, what it does to my family. I become very selfish for good intentions, but it's a very selfish thing to study for these tests. And again, small department, very, very challenging to get promoted in our department because there's such small, there's small spots available. There's a lot of people testing, and there's not a lot of turnover in my department. So, all that kind of scared me. Dude, I woke up, I just shot out of bed. I said, I'm going to take the test. And what really kind of made me think about it is, as a company officer, I had a really good influence on a small margin of people, that kind of 5 or 6 people range. But the rest of my shift, I wanted influence on them. And I wanted more influence on what administration was doing, almost more. Although I feel admin, my admin respects me and kind of, is a believer in my messages and
Right.
things like that. I feel as a lieutenant, I'm just a lieutenant, so as wanting to have that kind of that influence in policy, how we build rigs in our academy, you know, how to run a fire ground. Like I wanted all that really bad. And man, I was telling you before we hit record again, but it's been awesome.
Yeah.
I've had a great time. I want to say that I'm fearful that it's like a honeymoon phase, you know, when it's new, but it's been just over a year now, and it hasn't rubbed me wrong yet. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I know for sure I've made the right decision, and I'm looking forward to continuing to ride it out.
Beautiful, man. I'm excited for you, brother. And
Yeah.
there's no doubt you're in a honeymoon, and there's no doubt it will come to an end, but you're putting in the work on the front during the honeymoon to just keep it rolling, you know? And I mean that sincerely. Like it's going to be, I'm excited to, when we have the next scrap with you.
And part of this though, Corey, too, is like leading by example. It's not only like, you know, cool, I can train, I can wear my gear, I can work out with the guys, but it's like coming in with a positive attitude and be like, hey, this position's awesome. I love it. Because so many guys, you know, just even around the country would just come in and be like, I hate my job, I hate dealing with this guy, I hate dealing with this.
Wish I'd never got off
miserable.
the engine.
Yeah, and then you got this gun ho firefighter or company officer. It's like, he's miserable. If Eric's miserable, there's no way
I'm
I'm
out.
going to be able to do that job.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
You know?
No, it's, and that's one of the things I talk about. It's baked into our cake. You know, I asked the question for like almost 120 episodes. What's the best position to have in the fire service?
Yeah.
And like 85% of the answers was company officer. Because it's, you know, your span of control is, you know, 3 to 5 or 3 to 7, optimal 5. And usually a company officer is controlling their span of control. I mean, their direct influence is their span of control. It's a phenomenal place to be. But when you go up a level, your span of control doesn't get bigger, but your responsibility just, you know, quintupled. And so it's baked into our cake that like the best place to have the most, feels like the most direct connection to your people is that company officer role. So it is tough to step out of.
Yeah,
it is. It's baked in. Mike McMahon, I like this question. He says, do you have any good examples of truck company performance standards? I like that part of the question a lot.
So, again, I use a clock for measurable aspects. All the other standards are up here.
Okay.
They're just what I know my people and my shift well. Thankfully I've worked with them for a long time. And so I have a very good feel at where they're at and where they should be. But as far as like something that you could like see and actually have a goal to grasp to is a clock. So if I say, hey, you know, I want you know, this forcible entry drill to be done in 1.5 minutes, and that includes a mask up. You know, they know that, okay, hey, I have 1.5 minutes to complete this drill. But I don't really have anything kind of written down other than you know, that subjective things that I talked about. You know, if I think that was too sloppy, too slow, you know, they really didn't grasp this hose pull. You know, I'll give you another example too. Is, you know, we run everything off the rear, Minuteman loads, everything off our low hose bed engine companies, and most of our this last round of drills, most of our guys would come off the rig. They would turn to grab that 100-foot extra. You know, they shouldered 100. They turn to grab that 100 their second 100-foot loop, and the load would get wrapped around their cylinder. And that's because they didn't step far enough away from the ass end of the truck. So the next drill, when we get into the engine side of things, is we're going to drill, basically rig the door, and they're going to make sure that they clear that bed, have that hose bundle slap their butt. So that's their indicator to turn around, grab that loop. And that's specific to our rig. And so that's, to me, that's that's a standard. I have a standard of clearing that hose bed appropriately, not getting wrapped around your SCBA cylinder. And so I have a fix for that, and we're going to drill on that fix. But again, the only thing that's like, you know, a written down thing is our time, you know, and you have to be careful with the time, like I said, because people think it's for time.
Right. No, I love that distinction. Now, that also comes with knowing your people. Like you said, you know your people very well. You know their strengths and their weaknesses.
Yeah.
Do you see that as something that's tough to pass on, or something that's hard to succession plan for when you're training, like the next guy taking your spot? Or is it just still strictly just lead by example and investing in them?
Yeah. I mean,
Are you the unique unicorn that's irreplaceable?
no, hell no. It's because I want to work with everybody, including the people that want to ride the seat eventually, no, it's sure it's leading by example and everything like that, and setting that good example. But it's working with them. You guys, again, you got to realize it's a long game, like succession planning, culture change. It's a long game. And every day you just do a little something to get them trained up, whether it be for your position or on the fire ground. Just man, that's a tough one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but no, it is, and because yeah, no, there's no easy answer, no easy questions on the scrap. I mean, Rob gave you
Yeah.
one, but
Yeah.
let's transition to the power of saying no, or the struggle
Mhm.
of saying no.
Yeah.
I like this topic you brought up because
Yeah.
it's the curse of competency almost. But talk to
Yeah.
me about the struggle of saying no.
Yeah. I mean, just as you being a very busy guy, it's tough, right? You get emails every day or inquiries every day, hey, can you come do this conference? Can you come to our department? You know, work, obviously with being promoted battalion now, you got more responsibilities and more collateral things you have to deal with at work. And so, I'm somebody, again, I got to be always engaged, always 100%. I can't do things half-ass. And so it's very difficult for me to say no to, hey, can you do this? Hey, can you take on this project? Hey, can you come teach our fire department? Hey, can you come to my conference? And it's like I'm balancing my schedule and all that. Very difficult to do. I've kind of adopted this thought, and it's called the signal to noise ratio. Have you heard of
Yes,
this? Yeah.
yes,
And so it's used by very busy, well off people, right? Use this ratio, and it's the signal to noise, and so you basically have all this noise and and that's the distraction. Those are the things pulling you in different direction. But the signal are the few things that you need to get done now that's critical to your mission or to finish the day, that you get done while you're awake.
yes.
And so, I give you an example at work. I come in, I have a pass on list from the battalion I'm relieving, and I immediately start writing stuff down. And he'll even say, man, you're adding to the list already? I'm like, yep, I got all these things I know I need to get done today. And I write it all down. It's my checklist. And that's probably why I think I've kind of thrived in the battalion role as far as like that stuff, because I'm very good at like blocking out all this noise. Here's my stuff I have to get on. I like to write it down. And then it's very satisfying to me to check that off.
Right on.
And I do that with my family. When I come home from with my family, I got all this noise. I got work. I got my business I'm running. I got just distractions. But my signal is my kids.
Right on.
And so I push away all the noise, and I focus on my kids, and taking them out on the boat, taking them surfing, swimming with them in the pool, having them in the gym with me. And so I focus on those little things. I'm not looking at tomorrow. I'm not looking at next week. I'm not looking at next month, because that's too far out. That's too much noise. I'm just being successful at my little wins, day to day. It's funny because my mom will give me a hard time. She'll be like, oh, do I think I'm watching the kids, in 2 months, I'm like, Mom, that's too far for me. I can't even think like that. I have to finish. And that's why I do. Sometimes it sounds kind of rude, but it's like, that's my mind. I have so much going on to be successful and continue on improving my life, whether it be with my family, my career, my business. I have to just make these small critical checklists. I have to, check those small critical things off day to day.
Love it. I love it. Clarity is because I love that signal to noise ratio analogy. I love it. I absolutely do, because clarity and discernment is understanding, locking in on that signal and understanding, like you just explained it very well. In the moment, what the signal could be different depending on the
Mhm.
role that you're fulfilling. And that's where
Yep.
that vision and clarity comes in, and the discernment to figure out where to spend your energy, because energy is finite. So man, it is powerful. So powerful. Which will let me transition to one of my favorite questions I ask on every scrap. I've been asking it for a long time, but it's book or books that you think firefighters should be reading.
Yeah. Some softball ones are the Mission Men and Me.
Oh, yeah.
I like that. It's Your Ship. I
Yeah,
enjoyed
abstract.
that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've also enjoyed Warriors Creed.
Okay.
Have you heard that one?
I have
Or read
not.
that one?
If I have, I don't remember it. So
Yeah, that's from
I've not read it.
Roger Sparks.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of he was a PJ in Alaska, and so it's a little bit of kind of his life and his story.
Okay.
But his son was basically born, and he had to do CPR on his son when at birth, and his son has defects from it, but like fully functioning, but still has some defects to this
Okay.
day. He's a teenager.
Warrior Creed.
Yeah, Warriors Creed. Yep, Roger
Warriors Creed.
Sparks. Yep.
Okay. I'll check it
Yep.
out.
Yeah, and then Comfort Crisis, kind of probably another softball one.
Been
there,
on here a
but
few times. Yeah. It's been brought up a few
Those
times.
are those are all good ones. If you want something more fire service related, man, I like Champ's Tower Ladder book.
No way. No way.
I like it because it's there's drills in the back. There's drills that you can, as a company officer on a truck company, you can take that book for the day, flip to the back, and there's tons of aerial drills back there that you can set up in the back of the firehouse and get your guys comfortable on the aerial. So,
And it's Mike Champo's ladder truck tips, tricks.
Yeah, towers, tips and tails, or tails and tips, something like that. But so
Mike Champo, tower trucks, ladders, tips. Yes.
I have it at the firehouse. Otherwise, I'd
you hold it up. I'm in a hotel room where I'd hold it up. Yes, 100%. Absolutely killer. So we have a thing we do on here called the 5 questions for firefighters. You've been through this before, but it has been a while because we are on the 5th version now, and this will be the first time you've been through it. So I'm excited to throw them at you. Are you ready? And the rules haven't changed. There are no right or wrong answers. They're just your opinions. And the points are arbitrary, assigned by me with the help of the YouTube audience. So are you ready for the 5 questions for firefighters?
Let's go.
Number 1. You can do anything in the world except be a firefighter. What would you choose to be?
Oof. I'm doing I'm probably gonna be a professional surfer.
How am I not surprised that you went with professional surfer?
And it has nothing to do with other than just the travel lifestyle.
All right. I love it, man. Easy. And it's the first time we've had someone say a professional surfer. So easy max points. And you are a resident surfer dude as far as the scrap is concerned. Although DJ and Shannon may argue. I don't know. All right.
We're on the West Coast, though.
That's fair. Number 2. And then max points, by the way, if I didn't already give them. Number 2. I love this question. It's one of my favorites. It's Jobtown. It is time. You're en route and responding. You got that scene from Backdraft where he slaps the cassette into the tape deck. What song is Eric Wheaton playing while en route?
Had some have you had some ghetto firemen on here?
There is so much that there's a Spotify playlist that you can.
I know. I looked at that playlist.
Okay.
And for how many ghetto firemen you had on there, they must not have been born and raised in the ghetto. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
I'm going with Notorious Thugs by Biggie and Bone Thugs.
My Biggie and Bone Thugs. Is that
Yep, it's Notorious Thugs, Biggie and Bone Thugs.
Biggie and Bone Thugs is the song?
No, Notorious Thugs.
Notorious Thugs is the song. Biggie and Bone Thugs is it? Okay, you can tell I'm well versed on this.
Yeah, man, you gotta have some more rap in that playlist.
I get it. Well, I can only ask the question and pass.
You can only have
points.
so much Marvin Gaye and Metallica.
I don't know if we've had any Marvin. Oh wait, I think we did. Let's get it on. Throwback. Yeah, it said Corley is from Oklahoma. You did get a max point, so there you go. Project Pat. Come on. Bone Thug. Oh, it is BTH. Okay. Corley is not from the hood. All right, they call me out.
Yeah, Biggie and Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Okay.
It's a good one.
Hey, it's on the list now, and you officially got max points for it. So there you go. I don't think anybody has ever given me a gangster card. I can say that, Preston. There is no card to take away. All right, number 3, killing it so far. You're 2 for 2. Tomorrow morning, you wake up and you are the chief of department, and you can do whatever you want. It doesn't have to be your department. This can be a mythical department. What is the first change you are making?
Whew. Something to do with building the relationship. I'd want to be present. I'd want to communicate, and yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one, man.
Being present. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go down the culture route, because that's obviously what we always talk about, on this, whether we're out of town or on a podcast. We always talk about culture stuff, right?
It comes up over and
so
over.
it's obviously a big hot topic, and it's a big concern to both administration and operations. And so, my main focus as fire chief would be that. I mean, no ticket item. No, I'm not talking about buying fire trucks or building firehouses or, having an academy. It would literally be, sit with the guys, figure out their needs, try to deliver on that, and build a reputation where, fire chiefs aren't always the bad guys,
Ooh, dude, at first I thought, holy crap, he's not going to get max points. Holy smokes. He said, I don't know. And he gave it up. And then you completely saved it. Completely saved, rescued. So no, I love that answer, because how many questions were brought up tonight, even though we're talking truck tactics and VES and whatnot. And they're asking, how do we get people involved? How do we change the culture? It's everywhere. It's pervasive. It's domination. And you absolutely nailed it. Is that from the top, the most impact you can have from the top, building a relationship and opening communication and taking, dude, that's a powerful answer. So you won me over to the max points category, from 0 to hero on number 3, Eric Wheaton. Number 4 is on the clock. We brought back the clock. You have 1 minute to answer. You're on a 4-person engine or truck, your choice, but it's 4-person. You're on the back seat, and you get to pick 3 other people in your 1 minute. One's the chauffeur, one is the officer, and one is your fellow backseat firefighter. And go.
Yeah, I'm doing Jim Walsh is going to be the officer. He's the founder of VES. I'm going to do Scott Ketchum's a good friend of mine. He's the driver. Jimmy Berry is going to be the firefighter with me. And Jeff Murrick is going to be another firefighter with me. Is that 4?
Yeah, well, I mean, you had 3 to fill it. You are the 4th. But
sorry. So,
I was probably unclear.
I got an audible omission in there. So those are all very close friends of mine. And
Okay.
And we they teach with VS with us.
Nice.
And I would love to be, besides Scott and I, they work for different departments, so it'd be awesome to be all on the same rig with them. So a little more personal answer there.
I'm always interested. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Jim Walsh is the founder of VS. I mean, he started that website in 2005, and so he had to retire out medically. And man, I would love to see him on a rig and in the front right seat of a rig for sure.
Right on. No, that's awesome. And I like to see the direction people go with that question, whether it is down the personal lane of the people or they go down the legends. You know what I'm saying? Because there's 2 directions you can go with the question. Easy max points for your crew. Excellent answer. And you honestly answered it. Even with the honorable mention, you got it done in, I'm looking at the clock, 17 seconds. I think that might be our record. Sam will have to verify. Okay. Sam verifies it is absolutely the record. So 17 seconds is the new record to beat. But we're not going for time.
Yeah, that's right. So we have to, it's a measurable thing, but we're not going against the clock. That's not
the point. The point isn't the clock. I love it. Number 5, the question that will never change. It's heavy fire in searchable space. Would you rather, and I'll be surprised if I don't know the answer to this, but would you rather be assigned to the nozzle or first in on VES?
Yeah, VS, absolutely.
I think that's a
Yeah.
no-brainer. In fact, I'd have to dock points if you ran VIN Inner Search and did not
Yeah.
take the option. Dude, love it, brother, man. You absolutely crushed the 5 questions. Max points across the board, not just me. Everybody absolutely agrees. Although there was, with the magic wand question in the fire chief, there was the suggestion that it was an all-tiller fire department. That was one of the things expected.
Yeah.
Dude, that officially makes it 318 scraps in the books. People don't know this, but I actually scheduled Eric for earlier in the year, and then I completely bogarted and didn't put it in my calendar. And so like the week came around and Eric was ready and I had scheduled a different guest. And that's on me, 100% my fault, my scatterbrain. So I just appreciate Eric being gracious and the pro that he is and coming back and doing 318 with us. And it was phenomenal episode. Eric, if people want to get a hold of you, reach out. What's the best way to do so?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on social media, so either VIN Search or Eric Wheaton on Facebook and Instagram. My email is eric, ERIC, at vinnersearch.com.
Dude, absolutely loved the episode. And there's still so much, like, I've got like over here that Sam has been pulling out of the YouTube. There's probably a dozen questions still over there we didn't get to there. There's probably 10 topics we didn't get to that you put down on the list. So we're going to have to do another scrap, because the problem is there's only 52 weeks in the year and it's a weekly scrap. So, but we will definitely not wait as long as we did in between 90, which was your first episode, and 318. We will not wait that long. I mean it this time. So, and the other thing I told you about it pre-show, the scrap solo is coming. And I'm really excited about this because it's different than the scrap. We're going to solo one topic, one guest, solo out one guest, one topic. We're going to put up the bumper rails, like I said, and roll that ball down the lane, but we're going to stay between those rails. And I'm excited for the deep dives that's going to be. So I'm going to send an invite to you to come on one of those episodes in the future, whether we talk about the can or VES, or we'll have to figure out the bumper rails that we want to talk on, and we'll go down that route. But you're invited. You're not obligated.
Yeah, I'm down.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay. 2 things left, which is, one is the scrap challenge. Every week I ask the guests to give the scrappers who are listening live and listening in on the audio a challenge that they can complete by the time they listen to the next scrap. So what is Eric Wheaton's challenge to the scrappers?
Yeah, I'm kind of, bulk of our conversation was on training and training methodology. So I would say, depending on your size agency, I would size up your department, your shift, your crew, yourself, find discrepancies in your abilities, and build a training program off that one thing, and run that drill within the week. You can definitely do that within the week. If you're engaged with your department enough, you should know right off the bat one thing, hey, we suck at throwing ladders, and develop a drill and run that drill before next Tuesday is very acceptable. And it could just be yourself. Maybe you're a probie listening to this and you really have no say or influence, or a little intimidated to do something like that. Look at yourself. What are you lacking in the skill, and develop a drill for yourself on that, and execute on that drill.
Beautiful. Love it. Absolutely. I love those challenges each and every week. It's one of my favorite things I ask.
Yeah.
Out of all the favorite things, I have so many favorites I ask. But I really do. And the final thing is guest suggestion for someone you think should be on the scrap or come back on the scrap, because I understand there's been a lot of episodes and you can't know everybody who's been on. But I'm always looking to expand the network. So who do you think should have an episode on the scrap?
Have you had John Lockwood on?
I have not. And he is on a list that I made like 3 years ago. And and again, 52 weeks in the year, and if it's not present, but no, I have not.
I think if you can convince them, I think he would be awesome.
Okay,
man, super. I mean, he's a gentleman, and he developed the Lockwood hook, which would be a great thing to have on a show to talk about that whole story.
No, and I've reached out to, I think I might have reached out to him because he is a humble. I mean, I don't know him. I got the sense he was
Yeah.
kind of humble. And so I don't know what happened before on the reach out, or if I dropped the ball, which is usually the case, as you're well aware. So absolutely, I will do so. Great suggestion to bring that back to the forefront. Okay. Housekeeping. Go to patreon.com/the Vigilantes. Go become a vigilante. It's where all the cool kids hang out. The Discord is up and running and very active. In fact, right before we went live, Sam said, Corley, go mute the Discord, because it's like blip, 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 blip. It'd be like, who was it? DeCamillo and his alerts going off all through the scrap. If you're looking for a place to connect with like-minded souls, go become a vigilante. Patreon.com/the Vigilantes. One of the cool parts about being a vigilante is you get to do the after party, and that's coming up in just a few short minutes. Sam has already posted the link, and we will get Eric Wheaton in the after party, and then we get to roast him for his appearance on the scrap. And it's always a fun time when we roast the guest. There we go. That's everything. Enjoy first in if you're here. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. I'm teaching all day. You got reflexive readiness in the morning, the 9Ls in the afternoon. It's going to be a great day. What else we got next week? Marshall Boyd coming up on the scrap. I'm excited for that conversation, and I know he is also. It is going to be really fun. Following up the week after, Mr. First Things First, Helton Piera, and starting on September 16th, the scrap solo is going to be recorded. It's the first ever episode, so I hope it all goes smooth. And provided it goes smooth, I'll be putting out the first scrap solo, hopefully by the end of the month. So we'll see. And it's Candace Ashby. And we're going to figure out what we're going to solo out, and it's going to be awesome. So, all right, enough jabbering from me. Thank you, Eric Wheaton, for spending your evening with us, man. It means the world to me. You came on and shared your passion. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Audience, you know I love you. You make the scrap magical. I can't ever thank you enough for tuning in every Tuesday and asking brilliant questions of the guest right down the center lane so they can crush them. You make the scrap magical, and I love you. Remember, mutts don't scrap. I hope the tones stay silent unless it is burning. This job will never be safe, so stay smart out there.